direction if we are moving towards getting more and more advanced weapon systems from our key allies.
Okay, nakita ko rito yung part of the ecosystem that we need to prepare is yung defense industry natin. Okay. Kasi hindi pwedeng hindi pwedeng armed forces or the Department of Defense lang eh. There are some things that the private sector is more efficient in performing. Okay? And papasok yan doon sa defense industry na And I think yung batas para doon still under development, still under deliberation. So once matapos yun, I think then we have capacitated ourselves in terms of yung legal
framework. Di ba nakapasa tayo yung procurement law the other year? Hindi pa tapos na yan, Admiral? Parang 2022 pa. Enlighten me.
Different. Okay, procurement ganito yan eh. Under the current setup kasi natin, it is biased against a domestic industry.
Industry, yeah. More important.
Yung specification ng AFP modernization law, you have to have 3 other countries actually using a system na you're trying to acquire. So obviously, tanggal ka agad yung domestic mo na proponent kasi it doesn't exist yet eh. Okay? So yung bias na yon should be corrected. Kasi we can look at yung low-end type of equipment na pwedeng support ng future domestic industry natin.
I mean, all you have to do is, diba, to put except in conditions where you want to develop the weapon system yourself. Diba, dagdagan mo lang. Kasi gets ko naman sinasabi na 3 countries kasi you want to make sure you don't buy mumbo-jumbo weapon systems. I don't know, Siberia or whatever, right? Pero dadagdagan mo lang dyan, except in situation when you want to develop it, of course, infant industry, and you cannot assure the market kaagad of 3 countries. So I mean, I wonder what the heck are our lawyers doing and people who are involved in this AFP modernization laws and all of that. I mean, these are pretty common sense, diba? Kasi I remember I was discussing with a number of defense experts how, for instance, Korea, India, Turkey, even Pakistan, diba, yung mga ganong countries, they're developing their defense industries na eh. Brazil, kaya naman natin kung kaya ng mga ganitong developing countries. Indonesia, diba? Why not the Philippines? So medyo nagtataka ako bakit ang dami mga gaps sa ating batas. Why is it so discouraging to developing a domestic industry, defense industry?
Kasi I think it should be a very close collaboration between private sector at government. No? You mentioned about Indonesia. Supported nila yung defense industry nila. I mean, South Korea na lang. Yun ang gold standard ngayon eh. South Korea. Okay. That was a collaboration between government and private sector to develop that industry. Japan, ganun din. So if government doesn't recognize that type of industry as a future at all, then hindi siya mag-startup. So basically, it takes 2 to tango, kumbaga, government and private sector.
Okay. Admiral, bago tayo ma-depress kasi medyo minsan mapapakamot ako ng ulo. Ang daming hindi inisip. So for instance, we were talking about ICC, yung withdrawal ni Digong. There's no law about withdrawal from a treaty. So I was talking to Senator Gatchalian also about this. Parang, anong klaseng bansa yan? Hindi nila naisip yung mga contingencies na yan. But never mind. Okay. Eto, balikatan. Balikan natin ang balikatan. So as we speak, the balikatan is reaching its twilight moments, but huge things have been happening. Etong Sea Star missile system na ginamit ng BRP Rizal, sinking vessel drills, yung deployment ng Typhoon, although hindi naman ginamit ng US. HIMARS was once again featured in these exercises. Not to mention, of course, geography, very important. First exercises in the exclusive economic zone outside the territorial sea. French were involved. And then there were exercises in Cagayan. Now, let's talk about Balikatan first. What is your understanding of the weapon systems that were deployed and the location of these exercises? And the relevance, obviously.
Okay. Balikatan has 2 components or has 2 aspects to it. Number 1 would be yung looking at readiness. And that's through training, tsaka yung familiarization with the equipment that's used or the system that's used. The second one is a signaling tool. Okay, when I say signaling, it's one way of communicating to yung target audience mo, in this case yung neighbor natin to the north, about our resolve or our intentions. Hopefully, that creates the deterrent effect na we aspire for. So yun yung dalawang aspeto ng exercise, particularly dito sa balikatan exercise. So nakita natin, number one, there are several systems na ginamit o tinesting or in exercise for the first time. Okay? Particularly, siguro, yung highlight niya would be yung sinking exercise o yung SINKEX in Northern Philippines. Okay? And that was the first time na-test yung missile, yung anti-ship missile system natin. Yung
one of our yeah.
So, that creates confidence in the organization. I mean, kaya natin to. And ang importanteng parte dito na in-exercise na actually, yung tinatawag nating kill chain. Okay, yung kill chain system. That's the one that links yung target acquisition, yung fixing the target and linking the shooter. In this case, the one that shoots the missile to the target. So that requires a system na mag-integrate yung ISR mo o yung surveillance systems mo with your weapon system. Okay? So yun yung pinaka-importanting na i-test in this type of exercise. Okay. The other one naman yung mga land exercises,
yung HIMARS yung ginamit.
Yeah, yung HIMARS, it's basically the HIMARS is not something new. Kumbaga, nagamit yan previously. So it's building on previous experience with the use of the HIMARS. Yung HIMARS is very important kasi I think the Armed Forces is looking at it as a complementary system dun sa BrahMos anti-ship missile system. Okay, kasi the BrahMos is for long range, 290 kilometers yung range niya. But you also need a shorter range weapon. In this case, that would be the HIMARS. If the Armed Forces so decides to acquire that.
So multi-layered, parang onion cabbage style, di ba? Oo.
Kasi if we have the HIMARS, I would deploy it sa ating SLOCs, yung ating archipelagic straits. For example, sa Luzon Strait, doon sa may northern part.
Mabulis.
No, not Mabulis. Kasi maliit yun wala
hindi kaya, masyadong malaki. Kaya Batanes or Cagayan.
Cagayan, yeah. Yung sa Mindoro, and of course sa Palawan. So those are areas effective ang HIMARS. The BrahMos is directed towards kasi outer layer na yan papunta sa exclusive economic zone. So that creates yung tinatawag nating buffer between yung ating kalupaan, yung ating baseline, and yung extent ng yung pinaka maximum effective range ng missile system. In this case is 290 kilometers.
And what about the French? The exercises for the first time outside the territorial sea at kasama pa yung mga French. Although alam ko medyo may konting plausible deniability the French participation, but that was the first time the French were involved, right? And obviously the French want to push for reciprocal access agreement. Gusto tayong bentahan ng submarine. So medyo hot ang mga French sa atin ngayon, di ba?
I think yung sa French naman, it's consistent with yung Indo-PACOM kasi may sarili naman silang Indo-PACOM strategy. And they're moving towards increased presence. But of course, within the area, alam ko, isa lang naman talaga yung nila yung isa lang yung pinaka-major surface combatant nila na nagpapatrol. And that was the vessel that participated in Balikatan exercise. Also, they're also affected by yung projection ng China outward towards the Pacific. Remember, the French as
territories
in the Southern Pacific na binabantayan din nila. So they are also affected by what the developments dito sa Solomon Islands, dito sa may Mid-Pacific na merong increased presence ng Chinese influence already.
Now, when it comes to Balikatan, do you think this is the new normal that we're going to see more and more massive exercises and more advanced systems? And by the way, yung Typhoon, what was the story about that? Ano ba talaga? Dinaan lang dito? Nagpa-cute lang yung Typhoon missile system ng US? Launcher, sorry. What was the drama about that?
Okay, mas remember, yung Typhoon missile is a sort of parang yan yung anti-access, anti-area denial system ng US Army. Okay. Now, nakatuck in kasi in all balikatan exercises yung logistics component ng exercise ng US. Kasi moving troops and moving equipment from point A to point B, with point B being the Philippines, that takes a lot of planning. Okay? Particularly if you are moving more than let's say 10,000 or 15,000 troops at any given time.
Right.
And yung associated equipment doon. So yung logistics planning mo ron is complex and deliberate. Okay? So moving that Typhoon missile from wherever they came from papunta sa Pilipinas, that is in itself is already an exercise. You don't have to actually shoot it. Pangalawa, the US Army is exercising actually a new concept or a new doctrine nila, yung forward deployment. Yung US Army nila is trying to be relevant sa Pacific. Okay? That is one of the challenges na inano nila. Kasi basically the Pacific theater of operations is a US Navy, US Marine Corps, lake or area yan. Yung US Army sa plays a secondary role. So I think this is one way of them developing yung creating the relevance, okay? Dun sa Now on the Typhoon missile system itself, to me that is a very important system. Kasi ito yung
Paki-explain what was the missile, why is it so important? Parang 2 years ago lang na-develop yan at saka first time na-deploy sa Indo-Pacific yan, di ba? Medyo bago-bago to, di ba?
Ito yung situation natin. The entire Philippine archipelago is within the umbrella coverage ng ng A2AD capability ng China. That means in theory it can hit us anywhere within the archipelago. And we do not have a defense system to address that potential problem in the future. So yung Typhoon missile system actually is a defensive system that would address yung gap na yun. We don't have the resources to buy or to develop this capability. And I think this is something in my quiet conversation dun sa mga na-active service pa. You have to keep this in the conversation with our US ally. Kasi this is a gap and it renders all our forces vulnerable within the entire Philippines. So we need a defense system. So the Typhoon missile system actually would address that gap for me. Okay.
And in terms of the participation of what about other countries, Japan, Australia, and then daming inimbita this year, di ba? Marami from the ASEAN countries. And China, bakit andun yung China? Is it to remind them of what we have? Is it part of the deterrence effect? Kasi may Chinese observer, di ba?
I think yung actual participants doon are yung US tsaka Philippines lang. The rest are technically observers doon sa And yung participation nila is very minimal, particularly on the land exercises. Yung naval exercises pwede yon kasi yung barko kasi extension ng territory nila yan wherever they go. So wala tayong problema masyado for naval exercises. But if you notice yung sa land exercises natin, very very constrained or very limited yung participation ng other troops. Except maybe for Australia kasi may sold pa tayo sa kanila. Okay. So that's why yung Japan is we're looking at yung access arrangement with them para ma-increase nila yung footprint nila or yung participation nila in future exercises. And most likely ganun din yung sa French. That's why they may be studying or actually looking at yung access arrangement also because they also want to increase yung participation nila. That beyond yung observer role.
Right. Now, pag-usapan natin itong latter part of yung kumbaga I think in a lawyerly we set the predicate. All right? Medyo mahaba-haba. Ngayon, pag-usapan natin ito nangyari ngayon sa Ayungin Shoal and Scarborough Shoal. Before we go to the more speculative part, gusto kitang tanungin bilang isang former admiral sa Philippine Navy, how do you feel about the situation na parang in-injure na tayo? Parang itsura natin, parang kawawa na. I mean, again, I know we don't want to second guess what's the strategy of the government. My sense is obviously China is coming out as a bully here. It's a diplomatic damage to them. But 'di ba gusto natin maging David Hindi 'di ba? And David mas maliit siya kay Goliath pero macho siya, magaling siya, gwapo siya, 'di ba? I mean, how do you become David without being kawawa? Okay, I mean, what is the right balance there? Kasi parang kinakawawa tayo. Ba't tayo gumagamit ng mga lumang mga boats, di ba? Of course, I asked this question to active personnel like Commodore Trinidad, but I want to take your view as someone who's a retired member of the Philippine Navy. How do you see this, and what do you think is the way forward? Or should we just trust the wisdom of the government?
Richard, kasi I will go back to ano yung ROE na nilatag natin sa sarili natin. And I will go back to yung tactics mo on the ground, tactics mo at sea is only limited by your imagination. Okay. So if you constrain yourself, you put guardrails into your responses. Of course, yun yung pupuntahan natin, yung mukha tayong kawawa. Of course, at the back of our mind, we're also worried about yung potential escalation ng nung hidwaan natin, no? So ano yung proper calibrated response? I think I mentioned to you
what's the Goldilocks approach? Goldilocks, let's put it that way.
Okay. Alam mo, I sometimes use the analogy ng basketball, no? Oftentimes, no? So dito, if you play basketball in the West Philippine Sea, and yung katunggali mo is medyo aggressive yung niya, nakikipagbalyahan, nakikipagsanggaan, nang sasahod, okay? Tapos ikaw, yung coach mo, kinonstrain ka, sabi, we are nice guys, we don't play rough.
Decente tayo, decente.
Ang mangyari yan, magiging gymnastics yan, para ikang lilipad sa ere dahil pag sinahod ka na o binalya ka na, you're all over the place. Okay? So, to me, it's a matter of rules of engagement. Immaterial lang kung malaking barko ka o maliit na barko ka. It's how you respond, how you We are not deterring them kasi walang cost Okay, winater cannon ka, walang cost sa kanila yon. Sa kanila physically. Of course, reputation-wise, sa public opinion space, in terms of yung information war, doon yung cost sa kanila. Pero at sea, walang physical cost sa kanila yon. Kaya, kumbaga, sa kanila, okay, so far, so good tayo. Tuloy-tuloy lang yung water cannon nila, tsaka yung calibrated collision nila sa atin. Okay? And I've mentioned this, I think, before. Since last December, I call it mission kill tactics. No? They've started targeting yung communication system, radar system, or yung bridge, yung pinaka-control ng barko. This is not to actually sink yung barko natin, but actually to render it incapacitated in such a way na sa next sortie, hindi mo na magamit kasi kailangan pa-repair. Okay?
I see. Yeah. So parang, I mean, you're right. I mean, ipaparalyze mo essentially yung mga ganitong mga resupply capacity, di ba? I mean, it's the status quo sustainable. Every other day, magpa-damage tayo, magpa-injure tayo. Parang, I'm not sure how sustainable this is. I mean, I see the PR in terms of making sure that the world knows na bully ang China, which I think everyone knows by this time already. I mean, how much more reminder do we need? But I don't know. I mean, sustainable ba ito? Ano ba talaga nangyari?
Kasi at some point, yung first five mo, pag pinayaan mo mabalya, eventually, bibench mo na yung first five mo. Mabuti kung may second five ka o may third five ka, paano kung wala? And sila, malalim yung bench nila.
So buong liga yung bench nila, 'di ba? Armada sila
Pati nga yung pati yung cheering squad tsaka yung coach nila nandoon sa basketball court. So sabi, ang point ko, it's a war of attrition yan At some point mauubusan